Say what?
Hello and welcome back. It's time for Say What, where we hear from those connected to the industry about what's going on in our world of electrical apprenticeship. And this includes those topics that you have been suggesting to us, so keep them coming. I am your host, Cindy Sandifer, joined by Todd Stafford, the Executive Director of the Electrical Training Alliance. A common phrase amongst the NTI team this time of year is, "It's NTI time." That gets screamed around the office. It explains a lot about what's going on, and it's often the answer to family and friends explaining behavior, long hours, and stress levels. It's simply, it's NTI time. And per the usual, before our regional seminar in Clearwater, we hosted an NTI advisory committee meeting with some tremendously committed people who ensure we have the best event possible. And of course, we grabbed some of them, because that's what we do. We grabbed them to talk about NTI, and we are super excited to introduce Tim Strickland, Denise Jenkins, Melissa Parsley, Pam Schenner, Jerry Champlin, John Franz, Chris Kelly, and Patrick Wells.
What is NTI, Tim?
I used to love NTI, but when we started,
But 2020, but 2020 hit, and then, yeah. No, what is it? Seriously, because we all say NTI like it's, we understand, right? We say NTI, it's nothing. Like, we know what it is. But, like, not everybody, like, someone could be listening to this podcast, has no clue about our industry, or is brand new to the industry, and they hear NTI, and they say, what? That's just another acronym. Now we're at IBW, NECA, ETA. So if you were to describe NTI, first of all, what does it stand for?
the National Training Institute.
All right.
It was originally Instructor Training Institute, and over the years it became more than instructor training. Our executive director at the time recognized the fact that we needed to be able to take an electrician and teach them how to be a teacher in a classroom. And that's how NTI got started. That was the vision, and it has grown to much more since then. We have groups of all sorts for committee members, outstanding apprentices, obviously still instructors that will take professional education training, and technical training about subject matters that they would teach back at the local JETC. And we have different committee groups for inside programs, outside programs, and now installer technician programs. So it has grown quite a bit. We started out with a few hundred people, and the last full one we had in 2019, we had over 2,000 people in Michigan.
Right.
Not only that, we started out on one floor of the Holiday Inn with classrooms, and then moved to the basement of one hotel system. Now we've gone to the university side where we're at.
Yeah.
Tremendous growth all the way around.
Well, and it's filling a gap. If we say we're going to train the best apprentices, right, then we have to take care of everybody that's involved. So we're taking care of the instructors who are teaching the apprentices. We're taking care of the training directors. We're taking care of the committee members. We're making sure everybody is involved, and it's an inclusive training and experience. And I think that's part of it. Like, so obviously it's been a while since we've had what we would consider a typical NTI. That was 2019. That was the 30th. Am I remembering
30th.
correctly?
That's
Everything's
correct. Yeah, it was the 30th.
So the 30th was then, and we went out with a bang on that one. We did.
I've been trying to do the 31 for a redo.
Well, and you think about it, this year is going to be a big one because not only will it be 31, starting the fourth decade of what we're looking at, but this is to be the first year we have somebody that has not been to all previous NTIs attend. In other words, Dr. James Boyd, from the very beginning to today, has been at all of them. This is one of the first ones we'll go through where not somebody has consistency from beginning to end. So it's just making a change all the way around.
Oh, wow. Right. And obviously we adapted in 2020. We went to VNTI. And then 2021 was going to be, was it VNTI 2.0? And then how many weeks was it before?
About 3 or 4.
3 or 4 weeks before VNTI 2.0.
25 days, 25 and a half days.
End of June.
Half days matter at that time. So it's all, yeah, I know.
And then we said, no, we're going to go ahead and have it in person. And so we had, it wasn't VNTI 2.0. We don't know, what was it, 30 point
NTI Light.
NTI Light. We had NTI
The
Light.
31st annual NTI will be this coming August.
Right.
Yeah.
So
If everything works
to
out, we
clear
don't-
that up,
Right.
yeah, we are looking at 31. So we've got people coming from all different sectors of our industry. We've mentioned like people from the JATCs, the AJATCs, people from the IBW, from NECA. So I'm curious, like with this group, we've got people from the Electrical Training Alliance staff, and then we've got IBW, NECA, JATCs represented. So what do you all, like the value? Chris, help me out. What do you see? Like why would you send somebody, or why do you go to NTI?
Okay, let me first start by saying, you had said NTI is like, what does NTI stand for? All right,
Yes.
so from an IBW NECA perspective, we always say the best kept secret is apprenticeship training. Well, one of the best kept secrets that shouldn't be a secret is NTI. And NTI needs to be an experience, right? So if there are training directors out there that have not attended NTI, or they're attending and not encouraging their committees to come, it wasn't until my full committee came, when they came back, they were blown away by what they experienced. For years and years, they were sending instructors and training director to NTI with the approval, go to Tennessee, go have your fun. And then when they finally attended a full NTI session, a C session, they were blown away. The next year, they came back with members, their wives, members from their company, well, the NECA portion of it. So I would say the NTI is an experience that you need to breathe and touch. I was thinking about this before. If I want to go on vacation, I type on the computer and I type in Hawaii. It's good to see the picture,
Right.
but unless you're there, you
Right.
you got to breathe it, feel it, smell it, touch it. Everything
Yeah.
about NTI is the experience there. So that's about
Right.
the best thing I could sum up about NTI. If you haven't been there, you really need to go.
Right. It's yeah. Go ahead.
And I
Todd.
think you defined it exactly. It's
Yeah.
an experience. It's why we talk about the last 2 years that don't really qualify. It's not really the experience of NTI that we created and looked at. So that's why.
Yep. The word, I think experience, when you said that, I thought it is. It is about so much. There's the training aspect, there's the networking and connecting, and I think everybody walks away feeling refreshed and kind of rejuvenated. You feel empowered to go about whatever your work is in the industry from doing that. That's great. What do you think, Patrick? Like, pass the mic.
Well, I got started with NTI in 2017 when I was appointed to the Electrical Training Alliance National Committee, and part of the primary responsibility, if you will, one of the responsibilities is that I attend and understand NTI. And I don't think prior to actually attending NTI that I realized the magnitude and scope of the entire operation. That was shocking to me and very impressive to me. So at that point, I knew I wanted to be more involved. So when I received the invite to become more involved and sit on this committee, I knew it was the right fit. So I definitely wanted to be a part of it. So
Thank you for that. Denise, no, you don't get a raise. He's trying to help you out, but don't have it.
That's a really good. So yeah, so Chris, Patrick, John, Jerry, they are on the NTI advisory committee. And that is not a sit back, share a few emails kind of thing. That's a working committee. So not only throughout the year are there discussions and meetings, but I'd like talk about what it's like to have, be there, right? Because you all get in early before it starts. You're there all week, and this is again not
Yeah, we asked him to be part of the staff that week.
Right.
No doubt.
That's
It's
yeah.
all work involved with
Yeah.
it, no doubt. So I'll thank you for that as well. We couldn't do it without it, no doubt.
Let me start with another expression. I tell the apprentices all the time. If the job looks easy, if the foreman makes a job look easy, it's because they know what they're doing. Right? So a well-oiled machine is going to continue to work. So let me just compliment what Patrick said. The NTI staff, in my opinion, works 36 hours a day, 10 days a week, in preparation for NTI. NTI doesn't start 2 months before NTI. It starts the day that NTI shuts down, and then you're already planning for the next one. I don't think a lot of people realize that. You immerse yourself, as do us, the committee. You know, we come in early, we help set up, we set the classrooms up. It is it's an experience, that's the only way I could say it.
Yeah.
And having gone through NTI from a C perspective, and now being there and seeing the behind the scenes of everything that was put into when I went to, it makes me even more appreciate what I had experienced because of all the hard work from prior NTI advisory committee members.
Right.
So having the opportunity to be on the committee is just another way to give back to the industry.
Absolutely. Jerry, I saw you got a mic. What you going to
I
tell
want to
us?
piggyback on what Chris said, because without the hard work that goes into it from the staff, when we get there, we know exactly what we're supposed to do because they've got an assignment for every minute of the day. And it's extremely well planned. And once you've done it a couple of years, you know what your assignment is. It may change, things happen, life happens, shirts don't show up, classrooms get changed, but that's all seamless to the participants. They really, with the exception of the shirts, they don't see what's happening behind the scenes. And I think that's the beauty of this whole week of training, because they have an experience that's, you can't compare it to anything else in the industry. The networking that you get from NTI and that experience is probably the best in the industry. It gives the committee members a chance to interact with their outstanding apprentices and see what they're really doing. It's not just sending them someplace. We take them out, we show them what they're doing, we have them participate where they can, see what the instructors go through. It's not just coming and sitting in a class, and they have homework every night. They're working hard. And I think our committee members, when they get the chance to see that, really are impressed by the dedication of our instructors, and they come back ready to really make a difference in the classroom. So my job during the year is to encourage more people to get to C Group. That's what I take back and go to district meetings and talk to other chapter managers and say, if you haven't been, come on, I'll show you around. And I think that's made a difference. And so I have to just give a lot of credit back to the staff. You guys are so incredible and totally underrated. And yes, they do need a raise.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Jerry.
Leave that
You're
part
helping
in.
a lot here. Thank you.
I saw everyone perk up a little bit.
But really, seriously, it is an extremely well-run week and a half, or however long, I don't know. The staff gets in far earlier than we do, and it's just by the minute planned out, and things are done, and it is so well organized. So.
And you're very well complimented in your language towards us, and thank you for that. But let's face it, of course, training sometimes can be dull, boring, unacceptable, but they all make it exciting. Exactly why we're here. You got to make it exciting. People want to go, to want to learn. That says something when you do that. That's pretty good.
John, anything to add to what your cohorts have said?
I think everybody's comments are spot on. Coming from the contractor side of this, it's always been hard for me to understand exactly what NTI did until I came to the very first one. And really, our district for NECA, District 2 out of the Eastern region, came and visited NTI, and that's when I was first exposed to it. I got into this business because I wanted to work with my hands. I wanted to hold a fluke meter, and I wanted to know how to do fiber optic terminations and whatever else. I find myself crunching spreadsheets and estimates and typing more so and doing the clerical things than I do technical things anymore. And I was really able to reconnect with that here at NTI. And it's important for us as contractors to recognize that the skills that are available here that can be taught, instead of us sending somebody out on a service call and trying to figure out why that motor is not running, we could give them the experience of going through the class and learning how to properly test it and whatever that you just don't get necessarily. And even through your apprenticeship, you get a module on it here and a module there, but you don't get a week's long module on doing certain testing or fiber optic testing or whatever it might be. So I think that's when I had my eyes opened that there was a lot here at NTI. Since that time, I don't know, over the last, and I really don't know how many years it's been, the last 10 or 11 years, I've seen, great comments come, and I can still remember Chris saying that we needed to revamp the outstanding apprenticeship or outstanding apprentice recognition and whatever. And to see that grow from what it was when I first started to what it is today, and the respect that those apprentices feel when they leave here and they've been exposed to not only that they can become a great journeyman, a great business manager, they can become a contractor, they can become an international rep, just opening their eyes to how many different career paths they really have in front of them. The NTI exposes them to all of that, I think. So.
Yeah, it kind of pulls an immersive experience. I was thinking, because as you pointed out, you could do stuff during the day, but then you go home, you get back into routines, but this just pulls you kind of away from, and you get to immerse yourself in the training, in the industry, make those connections. Denise works with everyone at NTI. Like, I'm thinking training partners, you work with the U of M conference staff and technical training. And so you get to really see that, right? I mean, you get to watch this collaboration take place. What's the most exciting part of it for you?
Everything.
All of it. That's what I was saying, the planning.
And I know we all have our little spots to do and things like that, but I just want to be everywhere. I mean, it is so fun to be on campus with all the electricians and everybody for the entire week. It is a blast. I mean, it's a lot of work and things, but I mean, conference services, setting up rooms and things, and it's so amazing with our NTI advisory or anybody. They'll come out and help you and say, what can I do for you, and things like that. It's just fun. And I can see where you have all of these individuals there teaching. You have to be there. It's an experience. You can't. You just can't sit in a room and get the total experience of it. So, but it's fun. It's really.
Well, you said
neat.
it
right.
Yeah.
It makes you proud.
Right.
It really does. I'm
Right.
proud to be.
You said it
with
right about the
electrical-
experience.
Right.
You said about the right experience
Yeah.
too, is looking at is we can share information, we can have conferences, Zoom. We've learned that over the last couple of years, but as you said about building in the relationships while you're at NTI, that's what it's about. That's what it's about all the way through. Yeah. I think you define that quite well.
What's really I love about Denise's story is because you come from a conference. I don't know, the hospitality industry.
Yes, that's my
and you
background.
got introduced to NTI.
Yes.
In Knoxville, working at the.
It was the Hyatt at
The
the time.
Hyatt at the time.
So all of the committee members, when we had down in the ballrooms at the Hyatt and things like that, I have been basically with NTI since 1999.
Right,
But
right.
not official until 2004, but still, I've been around it I love the conference. I love working, making sure the setups and things, but there was, until you go and experience, and it still takes many years, there's so many parts and things like that, from a trade show to professional educators, to technical. And even since I have seen it grown from when I was on the other end in 99 to now, it has grown a lot. Yeah. Yes, a lot, and it's good.
Well, I think I love, I had the privilege of, when I came back to the Electrical Training Alliance, to be on the NTI team for a little bit.
Oh, and I do want to thank you for leaving the first time.
Yes. Okay, so yes. So I was with the NJTC and left to pursue something else, and Denise came in and got to take over some responsibilities that I had. So it was absolutely, I totally did that for her. She's still paying me
I
for
did
it.
not make a mistake having dinner with Denise at the Riverside
No.
Tavern.
It was
Okay.
perfect.
Okay,
It was
got it.
perfect. I did that
Got
for
it.
you.
Got it.
But being able to have that glimpse of the NTI team, and I felt like, do you want donuts? Can I bring you coffee or Coke? Because it's it works. And it's how do you even touch this well-oiled machine? Getting that first staff manual. And I'm like, I legit know when I sleep. I know when down to the minute you can eat this many bites of food before this. But watching the skill sets like yours, you came, again, the hospitality industry. So to watch you get in there and work with, the trade show, the conference service, it's we don't want you on that side of it. We want you inside working for us. And we had our first podcast episode was some instructors on there, and they ended up talking about NTI. We did not tell them to. They chose to talk about NTI and how beneficial it is to them and what it does for them. And I was thinking about Melissa, who works with the professional educators. Melissa started, you got to grab that mic for me, girl, because Melissa started at the NJTC, then NJTC, in 95, 96. And so, like, Melissa has
I remember
legit,
when
like,
she showed
grown
up. Yeah, I
up.
know, just young girl.
She was 12.
She was 12 when
She
she
was 12.
started.
She
It
was
was
12.
legit, like,
She
we
was
had
12.
papers.
One.
Yeah,
One of
yeah.
the old ones.
Now you're seasoned, mature.
Yes.
We're going to use the right words here. But like I know would you start with aptitude tests? Like when you
Yes.
started out working?
Yeah, with it, I did some NTI, but I was in the office. I didn't come to NTI.
Right.
And then when I started coming to NTI, it was long hours. We were still, I remember, in the bottom of the basement or whatever, doing changes at 10 o'clock at night, and in AJ's room doing meetings. And
Yes.
so now we're done at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
It's a big change.
Big
so.
difference, yeah. Melissa and I got to room together
Yes.
in some of the early days of NTI, but you get to work with the professional educators and the instructors. And if anyone doesn't know this, Melissa's really humble. Like, she's far too humble she's like, I just help and support. You go watch her at NTI. You
She
watch
pretty
what
much
she
does
does
it for
it.
me. She
Yeah.
pretty much does it
Yeah. So the I group works because of Melissa. Like that is see, Chris knows. He's like preaching. Yeah. Give him the mic. He knows.
You better watch when she's walking down the hallway because she's so focused, she'll run right into you. You're gonna have to get out of the way before she goes there, because what she wants to do is make it right for the professional educator.
Yes.
She's dedicated.
But she is also spoiled because she does get, I'm not going to drop names, Mike DeSimone, but I'm saying, like, somebody does bring her coffee every morning, the perfect one she likes. It's got to be hot. So, I mean, she's taken care of. Like, I don't want to, she does get taken care of there. And, yeah, so if you work near Melissa, you might get a little spoiled too. But now Pam takes care of, well, yeah, Pam knows everything. We did discover this, like, it's been, a month or so ago. I was with a few staff members, and one of them looked at me and said, I thought I knew what Pam did. And then I realized Pam knows everything. And I'm like, yes, she does. And I think everybody's learned that because it's usually Pam or Steve Strickland gets the calls. But Pam, what's your favorite part of NTI? I don't even know what to choose that you do because you're involved with everything.
The end.
The end. There has been nothing more honest. We are done. We are done. That is the most honest
You do
part.
remember Rick Hackling when he talked about the NTI, he called it the week from hell? Because literally we would start, at 6 a.m. every morning, you go until 12:30, 1 o'clock at night, every morning. So he called it a week from hell for a reason.
Yeah, I wasn't there when he was doing that.
Yeah, Melissa said 5 o'clock, and I was like, what day did it end at
Trying to
5
figure out
o'clock?
how she do this.
I was like 5 o'clock.
5 a.m.
5 a.m. That's what she.
Wednesday. Yeah, right. Last year.
5 o'clock.
We got to talk about this schedule thing. We got to.
Yeah. No, she's talking about VNTI or something. It's been a while, people. It's 2019.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So I mostly schedule the C group agenda and keep track of presenters. Though I do a lot of other stuff. But it's
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you're in the Maryland office,
Keep me
running.
straight.
Oh,
I'm not gonna switch
we
that
can't
up.
even. You exist in your role
I
because
know.
Pam. We
Pam
know
sets it up,
that.
exactly.
We know that.
Exactly right.
Yeah, the industry leaders that come in just for graduation usually I try and help them out too.
Right.
Because not all of them understand NDI. 'Cause a lot of times they don't come until the end.
Right. Well, and you were talking about committee members, training directors, and I think the sessions that you're setting up, we have to be able to run the JTC, the AJTC properly, or we don't have one. And so I think, the sessions that you're setting up, the things that the legal, how much do you pay for legal advice and legal counsel? Okay. So you come to NTI, right? And I'm not.
No.
But, having that alone, I know those are some of the more popular sessions, is being able to get that.
So NTI, the C group, for those who don't know what C is.
Oh, yeah, thank you. See, here we go
Members,
with
right?
acronyms.
We're so used to talking about that. It is a buffet of information.
And we all love a
You
good
can pick
buffet.
and choose which items or topics you need to be brought up to speed on, educated on, or whether it's legal or whether it's anything to do with the helmets, the hard hats, or you have other industry topics that, need to be discussed. I think that the C group for committee members, whether you're IBEW or you're NICA or your industry partners or what have you, has evolved to the point where the topics become more and more relevant based on the changing times that we have. Right? I remember NTI back in Tennessee early, where the topics were, it truly was, oh, what are you gonna do today? Oh, I'm gonna do these three. You had the big loose leaf binder that weighed 15 pounds, 5.5 inches, and you pull your schedule out. And we've come a long way, from that. To now where you have an agenda ahead of time, people have an agenda. They know when they go to NTI what they want to do before they actually get there.
Right.
Which is great. You can pick and choose what you want to do. You can talk it over with other committee members. We're going to go and target these classes and learn more. This is where we need to get more up to speed on. So giving the people more information before they come has really benefited, I think, the overall experience for people when they do attend.
That's that's good. I see you with the mic, so I didn't want
Good
to interrupt.
feedback.
Patrick.
I just wanted to touch back a little bit. First of all, without Pam, I would be totally lost. Now,
Agreed.
I email questions to her
Yeah,
all
I
the
got
time.
you. Same thing. We're good. Yeah, I got
So,
you. Yeah.
And then back to something Denise mentioned. She mentioned being proud of it. And I think that is something that is overlooked. This gives all of our instructors, our directors, a great source of pride to know that there is such an institution backing what they do every day. And that is very important to the industry to know that this is a solid path we're on.
Right.
Yeah, even the
So-
jointly sponsored program and support here, that means a lot. Other industries don't have that. Let's
Right.
be appreciative of that, no doubt.
That's what's the hats come off. We're here for the apprentice. We're here for the training and the industry as a whole, right? Because that's where we're better anyway, is when we're working together to be the best, to train the best. And that, Jerry said something earlier, because we had the advisory committee meeting earlier, and you were talking about when you have more than one person, say from the JTC, from the committee, being able to attend the various sessions, and we do try. I know Pam is excellent at trying to make sure that something's offered more than once so that a person can make it to the various buffet items. You want to be able to, go back and get seconds or whatever you need. And we do take those topics from what the feedback we get, so we're not just like choosing out of a hat. It's, hey, what did you guys want? What do you need? But Jerry, you were talking about that's a really good way to do
Yeah,
things,
especially
right?
with smaller programs. If there's two of us that come to NTI, we'll decide, maybe there's only one session of something and we both want to know about two different sessions. We'll divide and conquer. We'll go see what it's about. We'll also listen to the questions that are being asked, because generally that's the person I want to talk to afterward, because they're doing something back home, and I know that there'll be someone that brings up a topic about something to do with rules and regulations, that they've had a problem at home, and I go, oh, I've got the same issue, or that's a great idea. You can talk with them. Or on the bus. We meet people on the buses that have great ideas, and we'll talk just, to and from. So I think, the opportunity to go to different classes or different committee members to go to different things so we can bring it back home and have as much information as we can, because there's so much that's offered. I also want to revisit something that John said, that he said about how the outstanding apprentices get this feel of how big the industry is. I think that's something that's overlooked. Our apprentices at home only see their local union, and they see maybe, your NICA representative and your committee members, which sometimes isn't a great experience for them to come before the committee, I want to remind you. So when they come to NTI, they see industry leaders, they see the president of the IBW. Lonnie has come several times, most every year. David Long comes just about every year for graduation. They start seeing the magnitude of our family, and I really do feel that NTI shows you what a family we all are. We may come from different sides of the industry, but if you think about it, we are the family that represents IBW and NICA, and I think that seems our young, outstanding apprentices take that home more than anything else. We always have our outstanding apprentice give a presentation at their first night of orientation for the next year because they've recently graduated. They've come and seen what IBW, NICA, NTI all has to offer, and we have them come back and tell about their experience. And the very first thing that they always talk about seems that they always say, I had no idea what we do nationally and how big our family is. So that's very impressive to somebody. We see it more often.
Sure.
They don't.
Right.
So
Absolutely. That's a really good point. Yeah, being able to get that kind of that big wide lens, that look at it. Is there anything else, anything we're missing that people should know if they're listening for the first time or never been to NTI or thinking about going?
I think it would be important, Jerry said this earlier in the meeting today on the advisory committee as well as it just was echoed a minute ago. But, especially on the smaller programs, and one of the things we talked about earlier was the number of programs that don't participate. If they would put the faith in us and send somebody for one time, I think they would see the benefit of it.
We do our job one time, you're right. We can satisfy them. You got it.
I think they also need to go back and not just say, oh, that was a great time at NTI and I got to see this and that.
Mm-hmm.
They need to give a report. They need to report back to the rest of the committee members, the other 7 that we could not afford to send from a small program like ours might be or something. As I said earlier today, we're close. We're only 2.5 hours away, so we don't have plane reservations and all that. But I know that not every place is close. But I think it's real important that all programs find a way to participate in NTI to some degree and take that back and plant those seeds back in your local training centers.
Yeah, very well said. Thank you.
Yeah.
I agree totally.
Yeah, something. Yeah, actually, I was going to come to you.
Many times during the year, I'll talk to a new training director or someone new at a program, and they question whether NTI is going to be worth their time. And I try to convince them that it is. And every year when they check in, I try to talk to them, and then I will seek them out Thursday, Friday, and say, tell me about your experience. I have never had anyone tell me that it was a waste of time or that they didn't benefit from being here. And a few years ago, and I think I've shared this before, our staff sits on stage on Sunday night, and when you look out into the crowd at 1,300 people, and you realize what you're doing there is changing those folks' lives, and they're going to go home and change the lives of apprentices. And we couldn't do that without our contractors and our local unions, but we're changing lives for the better. Kenny says it all the time about the ticket to the middle class, and NTI does that as good as anything in our industry.
Right.
And we got to never lose sight of that.
I think we saw during COVID, I don't want to say like it's over, but what electrical workers were doing, what they were doing, they were literally saving lives, and it happens every day. And to know that that's part of a training, it's something we do collectively. I mean, this is literally, it's us doing this for us, for the betterment of, they take that home and they're building things in their community. They're helping with schools and hospitals. And I mean, it's pretty far reaching. And I think we do sometimes get stuck in our day-to-day tasks, and we often forget exactly what's happening all around us. And because of this, you help run this motley crew of people, like, the director of NTI over here. What do we need to know, Tim? I mean, you may have just said it, but is there anything we need to know about NTI? Like anything you would say to leave us
If I knew, I would tell you.
What's it like working with Denise and Melissa? Let's talk. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. How many times do you make them cry every year?
We're not going to talk about that either.
Good.
If you come to NTI, you will be thankful you did. That's the bottom line.
I've never heard anybody say, oh, it's the worst thing I ever done or a bad thing. They always want to come back the next year.
Yeah.
Always have.
and we are looking forward to it. We are planning as best we can, and we hope to have a record attendance at NTI this year.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much.
All right, Todd, it was a fun time in Clearwater. What stood out to you, though, during the Say What moment?
Every time you hear about discussion about NTI, we think about the benefits for our industry and what it encompasses, what NTI is, what it's about, and the team that works behind to make it such a great event. That's what stands out to me every time we discuss.
Yeah, I always think so much of our team, our internal team, when I think about NTI and the work, because I've been able to see it happen.
It's a lot of work. There's a lot of work behind it. You don't recognize how much work it is behind it, but it's quite a bit that's there. And they make it look effortless, which says a lot about their talent.
They
no doubt.
do. And then you have, this committee, this advisory committee, and their commitment. They're doing whatever it is.
I was including them with us that week.
Well,
I know that's what.
Okay, yes. Okay, sorry. I was separating a bit because it's like you've got the people that are like in our offices, but then you've got this advisory committee that makes it, because we can't do it all.
No.
And
we
they
can't
come
make it
in
possible, and they're the ones that convince the industry as well. What helps.
So their service to NTI is just, it's fantastic. Thank you so much. I won't list all the names, but thank you to everyone that joined us, to all the guests. Always big thanks to you, the listeners, for taking your time to listen in or watch. And remember, we want to hear from you. If there are topics that you would like us to cover, just send me an email at, or say what, I don't want to say at, say what, that's SAYWATT at electricaltrainingalliance.org. Our next episode will be in May, where we are talking about FAQs and customer service. Until then, stay connected with us through our newsletters, blog posts. Be sure to follow us on social media, subscribe to the podcast, stay powered up, and we will see you next time.
Say what?